What's up, everyone? Welcome to Tell Me About It, Tara, brought to you by the Holy Happy Hour. I'm Tara, and today we're going to address a very simple question. And I address this question, it seems kind of random. Can introverts evangelize? I'm answering this question today because as a missionary, it is funny and surprising how often I actually get this question. And this is because there have been a couple of times in my life when I have been invited to share about the work I have done as a focus missionary. And I will make this presentation, and then someone in the audience or someone in the group will say, but what if we're not extroverted like you? Do we have to be as outgoing as you? And then there's this whole comparison idea that for us to effectively evangelize, we have to love being around people all the time or have to find meeting people something easy to do. Well, I'm answering this question because at the end of the day, it is underneath that question, can introverts evangelize, is another question. Are there qualifications required to be an effective evangelist? And you know what? I'm just going to give you guys the short answer. The answer is no. The fact of the matter is, people who are in love with Jesus will just share him. And I think this is a real reality about the life of discipleship, that there is an initial conversion when we come to follow Jesus and we're starting to get to know him. We're starting to maybe give up the life of sin, or we're starting to think like him, talk a little bit more like him. But always the Lord is calling us to a life of deeper and deeper and deeper conversion. Think about it. Jesus spent 3 years with his apostles before he said, go and make disciples of all nations. And something to think about too is, my guess is that the apostles weren't all crazy extroverts. Some of them maybe were quiet. Maybe they didn't love the crowds and found it overwhelming. That's great. The fact of the matter is, anybody can evangelize. Anybody can evangelize. This is what I want to say to people all the time. You don't feel like you know everything? Amazing. More room for the Holy Spirit to work. You don't feel like you have a sparkly personality or tons of enthusiasm or an ability to talk to lots of people for long periods of time? Awesome. If you're introverted and you love Jesus, go find the other introverts who need to know Jesus. I think it's truthfully that simple, but I find the example of the apostles, especially the example of Peter, to be one that is very encouraging, because Peter messed up all the time. He was overzealous one day. He proclaims who Jesus is the next day. He betrays him and denies him the next day. He abandons him at the cross the next day. He jumps out of the boat to race to the shore to find Jesus the next day. I mean, Peter is someone that we can all relate to. It's the life of discipleship. We make mistakes, but always, 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 God forgives us, and he calls us back into relationship with himself, and he brings us deeper and deeper and deeper into his heart. So it's okay if today you're like, I'm just still getting to know Jesus. I have no idea how to share him. That's great. Or if you're a lovely, lovely introvert listening to this video and you're like, I think that I want to share him, but sometimes people overwhelm me, or I don't know how to go up and talk to a stranger. That's great. That's awesome. More room for the Holy Spirit to work, but you got to do it. You got to take some leaps occasionally. One of the uncomfortable things about evangelizing is that it's often uncomfortable, and we don't know how we're going to be received. We don't know how people are going to respond to us. We don't know if they're going to think we're a weirdo. Guess what? It's all for the kingdom. It's all for Jesus. And it is enough. It is enough. And I want to tell this to everybody all the time. It is enough if you pray and you love God. If you do those things, God will work through you. If you humble yourself and say, God, I want to make you known. I have no idea how. I have no idea when or where or who. Show me. And then if you try, He will take care of it. I cannot tell you guys the countless failures I have made as a missionary. And by golly, every failure has just reminded me that it's not my work, it's God's work. He's the one who does the evangelizing, He's the one who does the converting. It's enough for you to cultivate a love for God. Spend time with Him in prayer, spend time reading His Word. If you do those things, it'll just come out, I promise. And by it, I mean the gospel. It will come out if you pray and you study His Word and you seek to love those around you. Thank you all for joining me this episode of Tell Me About It, Tara. I'm Tara, and I hope you guys have a great week.